Now, we want to tell you about some incredible footage from our Houston affiliate, KHOU. You talk about a rescue that was just in the nick of time. There was a semi-truck driver who had driven into some rising floodwaters, and it just so happened that KHOU reporter Brandi Smith was there on the overpass as it all unfolded. We watched that take place here on CBSN. Brandi now joins me on the phone. Brandi, tell us about that moment. I want to explain to viewers what we're seeing now is tape of this boat pulling up to this semi that you had been watching as the water started to rise.
Yeah, hi, Elaine. We had been standing at the top there on the other side, though, of Beltway 8. It was actually my photographer, Mario Sandoval, who said we should go see what things are like on the other side. As we made our way over there, we spotted that truck, and this was all unfolding on live TV because KHOU had been evacuated. We were the only live signal broadcasting for the station, so we just went with it, and it was essentially a live stream of everything that unfolded. We saw the truck. First thing I noticed was the lights were on, the wipers were going. As we got a little closer, we could see movement. I saw him inside, and that's when I kind of started to panic internally because he's in 10 feet of water. It's 12 to 15 feet on either side of what used to be a road he was in, and there's a current. Like, I knew he couldn't swim to safety, and luckily at that moment when I turned around, there was a truck driven by Harris County Sheriff's deputies with an airboat on the back. They were actually headed to another rescue. We were able to flag him down, get their attention, let them know he was there. They didn't know because that call hadn't been in. They hadn't been dispatched to help him. So they stopped, unloaded the boat, and the video you're seeing is once they got up there, got right up to the passenger side, pulled him out, pulled a bag out, and we got him to safety. But it was it was harrowing for me, and I was not in a truck cab that was filling with water. I can't imagine what it was like for him, but we're very happy that he is safe tonight. The last I saw of him, he was walking past the live truck and said he was going to find a hotel to dry off.
Brandi, I have to say, I watched this as it was unfolding, and your composure and your photographer's composure just truly remarkable because, as I was explaining to our viewers on CBSN earlier, imagine the feeling of helplessness that you must have had as you were watching this water rise, but then knowing there was help and you were able to flag that help down. I remember you yelled at one point to him, "Sir, they're just putting the boat in the water." And it was at that point where you could see him in the window. What was going through your mind at that point, as it literally looked as though they arrived just in the nick of time?
They absolutely did. There's no other way to describe it. If they'd been even a half hour late, I don't know. I've been back over, and the water hasn't gone over the top of the truck at this point, but the rain hasn't stopped for hours and hours and hours. The water is rising. Even if it's slowly, it's still rising. And there's no way he would have been able to get out of that truck safely even by this point today. He would have had to try to swim. Who knows what's in the water besides like snakes, fire ants we have down here. But also we've seen pallets, branches, wood, possibly with nails. You just don't know what's in the water. You don't want to jump into 10-foot floodwaters with a current. And so I can't express how grateful I am for the Harris County Sheriff's Office and the two deputies who jumped out and helped him. And one of the deputies actually told me right when I flagged them down, they stopped to kind of assess the situation. And he said, "This is the same spot a year ago. We had a truck driver who was coming the opposite direction, do the exact same thing. He didn't make it." And so that really instilled in my mind like how serious and grave the situation was because of a very similar story played out a year ago.
Absolutely. It's just chilling to hear that. Brandi, I wonder what else you have witnessed throughout the course of this day, because just watching your Twitter feed, for instance, the incredible volume of water in the spots where you have been, I think it's just difficult for people to imagine. It's almost difficult to discern at times what you're seeing on your television screen or on your phone, because you can't see any landmarks, so it's hard to get that perspective. Tell us about some of what you've been witnessing.
Elaine, I have to say it's difficult for me, and I'm seeing it here in person. I think sometimes when you have that lens between you and reality, you can kind of take a step back from it. Even just seeing it here, it is surreal to see streets turned into rivers. I mean, we're talking about an urban core. The Greenspoint area, is thriving. There are a lot of folks who live down here, but is no one, thankfully, on these roads right now because they would be under feet of water. Our first destination when we came in this morning was an area called Greenspoint, and we're still kind of on the fringes of it, but we went to a specific part near Greens Road and the Hardy Toll Road, and this is a spot that your viewers might remember. You might remember from our tax day floods last April. There were images of people being floated out of apartments in refrigerators, on air mattresses, whatever would float, they used to try to get folks across water that was chest high, almost neck deep. And this morning when we went there, it was about, I want to say 4 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock this morning. The water was already waist deep right at that intersection. Talking to Houston police dive team crews, they said deeper in, it was chest deep. We could see cars completely submerged, just a little bit of their roof showing. A lot of residents had been through this experience before, though. They lived in the area when the storms hit last year, and they knew to evacuate. So Metro had 2 buses that they filled with evacuees. But what we saw is the water was rising so quickly in that area, which is right along a bayou that had broken its banks. The water was rising so quickly, even the bridge we were on, if we didn't leave, we would be stuck there because you couldn't pass through water on either side. The bus driver, the second bus driver, wasn't able to take passengers back the other way. It was just too dangerous. So Houston police unloaded all of those folks, put life jackets on them, and put them on a high water rescue vehicle and hauled them across the water. When I asked a police officer, sorry, we're getting more storm warnings coming in. When I talked to that police officer, he said he didn't know where he was going to take them, just to some place dry.
Brandi, where are you? Are you in a safe location now? Because we could hear that storm warning go off, and we heard the Texas Governor Greg Abbott talk about there being the chance of more quote-unquote tornado action as this day wears on. Tell us about how you and your crew are doing. What is your plan here going forward?
I want to say first that our managers, our KHOU 11 team, has been great about making sure we don't put ourselves in dangerous situations. When we were up there on Greens Road, the situation I was describing earlier,
Brandi,
the officer told us, "You have." Oh, I am here. Can you hear me, Elaine? Hello?
Yes, please continue, Brandi.
Elaine, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Brandi?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Go
yes,
ahead.
I can hear you. I don't know when you guys lost me, but I was giving some credit to the managers of KHOU who've done a really great job of keeping us safe. When we were along Greens Road, one of the police officers there asked, "Are you guys leaving?" And I said, "We're talking about it." He said, "You need to get out. You need to get out now." And my boss called me immediately after and said, "Do exactly as he says. If they say get out, get out." We are in a safe place now. We're on a bridge on a major freeway here. It's one of what we call the loops around Houston on Beltway 8. The issue is we're in a very similar situation as we would have been if we stayed on Greens Road. There is high water on low points on either end, and we are gathered here with a lot of cars that are stranded, not risking it, trying to drive through the high water.
Because, Brandi, I think what some folks might be wondering is you hear talk of some shelters being open, but how do people even begin to get to those locations when the water is so high?
I wish I had an answer for that one, because we're kind of struggling with that ourselves, trying to figure out how we are going to get someplace tonight. We are hearing that there's going to be a high water rescue vehicle coming in to grab people who want to go. We're also hopeful that the water recedes. I feel like that, as much as we can hope, it's a little bit naive at this point because the rain is still coming and the water is not going to go down for a while. So I think it's just a matter of following social media, checking with agencies like TxDOT, TransStar, finding what roads are safe. The issue being most people are being encouraged to stay home if they can. The roads are not safe. And in most cases, even being in your home, going onto that second story or going onto the roof is going to be better than sitting in a car not knowing how high the water is going to rise.
And one more thing, Brandi, before I let you go, just on a personal note, how are you and your photographer, you said his name is Mario Sandoval. I mean, it must be an incredibly emotional experience given not just what you've been witnessing out there, but knowing as well that for your colleagues, obviously seeing the station flooded, an incredibly trying time.
It's been really difficult to watch that from a distance and not be there to help and not be there to just support my coworkers who have been so supportive of me over my time here. I know they've been through a lot and they are very strong, and we have a lot of tough, fierce journalists and managers, staff, newsroom staff who can make anything happen. So I'm just hoping we can get back on the air soon because we want to be out there sharing the stories of Houston, showing people what's going on, helping if we can. And it's frustrating to kind of have our hands tied in that way. But thank goodness for social media allowing us to connect. Our reporters all over the city can still post to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and show folks what it looks like in those areas as best we can.
Absolutely. Our thanks to you, Brandi, and all of your colleagues there at KHOU. Remarkable job. Thank you so much for your time and your reporting. Please stay safe.
Thank you, Elaine.